Yo, what is going on? You're checking out the RCWR Show, covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. I am your host, Lee Sanders. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode number 606, coming at you guys for July 31st, 2018, and I am so damn glad that we are now going to be done with the month of July. Depending on where you live, you guys are already into August, but if you're over here on the East Coast in America or on the West Coast in America, we got a couple more hours to go. I say that because I tell you, this weekend, probably as long as I have been living, one of the most darkest days, if you are a pro wrestling fan, you would agree with me. One of the most darkest weekends that we've ever lived through in recent memory. And I actually was picking the brain of a couple of friends of mine, and I actually had reached out to a couple of family members that were into pro wrestling and everything growing up. And I'm like, do you remember? Because some of them, their love for pro wrestling, they remember seeing stuff in the 70s and all that. And I'm going, hey, do you remember anything like this past weekend going down the way that it went down? And a lot of them were like, no, hands down, no, never in all my years have I recalled something as so dark as what all went down over the weekend. Of course, I'm talking about all the passings. We'll get into that in just a little bit, but yeah, come on. We're streaming live. Take your pick, man. We're streaming live right now on YouTube, also on Spreaker.com, also streaming on the RCWR Show app that's available for free in the Google Play Store. Just search RCWR Show or the RCWR Show, and we are continuing to stream live on Facebook. So shout out to everybody that's checking this out live right now, and particularly I want to give a shout out to those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand, as we do appreciate a lot of you guys love checking out the show on demand. I love that about that. So we got a couple of different topics we're going to be getting into. I'm going to just slowly kind of lure you guys in, but we got some really cool things that's going to be in the works for the RCWR Show over the course of the next couple of weeks. I do hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, by the way, despite some of those deaths that had went down. I do hope for the most part your weekend was enjoyable. Mine's ended kind of on a depressing tip because of those passings, but for the most part, I did have a pretty nice and relaxful weekend. A lot of good things is coming to you, fans of the RCWR Show. Been making some really cool moves behind the scenes, and I'm not quite in a position just yet where I can make the announcement. But if you guys had checked out last week's show, I had gave a little bit of a tease, if you will, as far as, okay, so to recap, a major network, and when I say major network, I don't want you guys thinking like CBS or Fox or anything like that. Although I should note, a couple of years back, we did come this close to having the RCWR Show be picked up by CBS Radio, but sadly, it did not happen because of circumstances that honestly were beyond my control. We were that close getting in there with CBS Radio, but it did not happen, but continue to have communications off and on over the years, and maybe something could still happen further down the road, but no major network like that. But we did approach a network about bringing the RCWR Show to them, and this is a major network. They've been picking up a lot of steam over the past couple of years. They're relatively new, but man, they are making their stride. They are making their mark, especially as far as pro wrestling goes, okay? Because they've got like a who's who list of awesome people that they've been working with. And so I got in contact with the person that's basically in charge of the company. Turns out this person is a huge pro wrestling fan. They know about more things pro wrestling than when it comes to all the other major sports and entertainment genres that's out there, your footballs and all that. They eat, sleep, breathe pro wrestling. So had a really great conversation with them that lasted about, I would say, maybe almost 20, 25 minutes. And they told me pretty much what they were about. I told them what pretty much I was about, what the show is about, what you, the listeners, are about, and everything. And long story short, they said, okay, well, you know what? We're definitely going to give you a run on the network. Be on the lookout. Going to send some paperwork your way. Go over it. Make sure everything is on point. Once you sign that, bring it on back home ASAP. We're going to work on a launch date. And I think at this point, the goal right now is that these guys probably want to have me launch, if not right before SummerSlam. They probably want for me to launch on their network right at SummerSlam. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe, because originally there was talk of actually going live, because they love the fact that I stream live for you guys, because again, it's like unpredictable. Anything can happen. Anything can and will happen on the RCWR show. Okay. But they're like, nah, okay, you know what I actually want to do? I want to go on ahead and you keep doing your shows. And then when the shows are over, just hook us up on the downloads with the content itself. They're more interested in the visual content as opposed to just the audio. So I'm going, okay, all right, yeah, that's very doable, no problem whatsoever. I can make my edits, all that good stuff. So one of the things, and I kind of knew that maybe it's something that we need to be working on, but the question was asked, how long are the shows? And when I said, oh, usually the shows average about maybe 2 hours and I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. I'm lucky if I can do a 2-hour show. And they were like, good God, like that's a lot. I say, well, given the amount of topics that we go into, because it's so much more than wrestling, there's a lot of topics that we go into. So wrestling, non-wrestling related, it just has its different ways of just really, it's really cool when you experience the show live and everything. And I kind of got that impression, though, that that's definitely something I need to work on. And honestly, that's something I've been wanting to work on anyway for the past couple of months, because a lot of times you guys have no idea, but a lot of times once the stream is over, YouTube, you guys are good. But sadly, for those that are appreciating accessing the shows on the downloads, they've come to check out the show on the downloads. I've got to stay up for pretty much an extra hour. I've got to convert the audio. I've got to sometimes enhance the audio. I've got to make sure I slap in the intro. I got to make sure I slap in the outro. Then I have to do the tagging for it, make sure I include the artwork, design the artwork sometimes, all that. And all that actually takes about an hour roughly just for me to wrap all of that up and then put it back out there for syndication. So a lot of times, sadly, I'm not able to get in the bed until like about maybe, I would say maybe about 1:30, almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So was going over it with the family and they were like, you know, now's a good time, especially since you got this deal that's pretty much a done deal. Now would be a good time for you to really start scaling back, make the show much more tighter, and also at the same time make the show much more shorter. So the goal going forward is to do 90 minutes, 2 hours tops. Now, I know sometimes when I've said that in the past, we have like, okay, Lee's just gonna, no, because we're gonna be hooking up with this major network, I definitely want to run a much more tighter show. And I'm telling you, a lot of the things that I have planned in the coming weeks, I think overall you guys will really enjoy it. And honestly, whatever topics I'm not able to get into once we hit the 90-minute mark or almost the 2-hour mark, I will gladly go on ahead and bring those topics up exclusively on the YouTube channel over at the RCWR Show. So if we don't get into certain topics in weeks to come going forward, just know that. So you guys that's already subscribed to the YouTube channel, you guys are good to go. Best thing I can say, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you click on the bell icon so you never miss out on all the great content, right? And for those of you that maybe have not subscribed yet, please do so, because I'm definitely going to be using that avenue a lot more to upload new original content. And if you guys actually had checked out the YouTube channel over the weekend, you would have heard a exclusive audio clip that had pertained to Epic Sports. Now, for those of you that maybe did not hear that clip yet, just to kind of recap so it doesn't go as long, because what I initially said on YouTube, that was about maybe 20 minutes long. So I'm going to do my best to just shorten it as much as I can, but you got to bear with me here. And I think this is very, very important, okay? So Just to recap, I've been working with Epic Sports. For those of you that are not aware about Epic Sports, they have been running clips of my show, Don, Tony, Kevin, and Castle. Shout out to those guys. Sometimes Wrestling Soup. Shout out to my buddy Missionary Thomas and Joey Numbers over there from Wrestling Soup. They've been running clips of all of those shows, my show, on their respected channel. Now, I've been working with Epic Sports now for, I would say, probably almost a year and a half. Okay. It's been a great relationship. Now, what I've been noticing, though, the past couple of months, I have reached out to Epic Sports via email. And something as simple as, hey, I think it would be really awesome if we did something to the point where we can do a Q&A edition of the RCWR show. We could basically like combine the RCWR Nation and we combine the community at Epic Sports. We could probably have at least half an episode where I just tackle questions. What do you think? No reply from Epic Sports whatsoever. And in the past, if I sent something Epic's way, they were very good in replying. It might have not been instantly within 5 minutes, but for sure within 2, maybe 3 days max, I would hear from Epic, and that pretty much was it. Now, I don't know if the guy over at Epic Sports recently had suffered a loss or whatever like that, right? What I can tell you, though, is that in the past, I was able to communicate. Only communication method is via email. Keep that in mind. Only one email. And I even established early on when I began partnering up with Epic Sports, what's the best way to get in contact with you? And Epic is like, you can easily do it here. I saved every single email. I'm just like that. I just save all my emails. Every couple of years, I delete my email. So anyway, I saw like the most ugliest comments that were coming on one of the clips from my show from over, I would say right before the weekend. And I'm just going, what the hell is going on here? This isn't what I had signed up for. And anybody that at one point used to check out clips on TV tracks, you guys would definitely be in agreement. And to the point, my challenge to those of you that's checking out the show live right now, you can tell me if you had noticed similar things on TV Tracks' channel to prove my point and validate my point. But there were many times over the years over on the TV Tracks channel, I would see comments like, shut up, you mother lover, or go kill yourself. I would see all these juvenile, just what the hell? Like, what type of a community is this where everybody's just piling on, bashing on top of each other and not doing anything that's very encouraging to uplift and, hey, that's not really working. Do more of this, do less than that, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't proactive. It was not proactive whatsoever. And the person that is at fault at that is the person that's in charge of the TV Tracks' channel. They were doing a poor job moderating the comments. Okay. So when I hooked up with Epic Sports, I saw that it was a really nice, awesome community and that everybody was being totally respectful. Even when they disagreed with each other, they were being totally respectful about it. But like as of late, I have just seen it pretty much go down the can to a degree. And I'm going, whoa, what the hell? So I reached out to Epic Sports, not just this weekend, but there were a couple of instances within recent weeks where I reached out to Epic and I said, hey, look, this is what's going on. Here's my concern. What are we going to do about it? And Epic would not reply. Even as I'm doing this show right now, as of this recording, Epic has still not replied to any of my emails. And yet they're continuing to upload content. They just uploaded content earlier tonight. Okay. Might have not been my show, but they uploaded content earlier tonight, earlier today, to be exact. Earlier, I would say a little bit after 4 p.m. Eastern. On Monday, July 31st, they uploaded more content on their channel. No communications with me in the meantime. And if you guys had heard the clip on the YouTube channel, I basically had said, Epic, you can't upload any more content until you reach out to me and we get this squashed. And what happens? You go to less than a day later, because you guys saw I uploaded the clip about Owen Hart, Brad, Martha. I uploaded that. I cleaned that up. It was about 11 minutes and some change, right? And that clip wasn't even up for 24 hours. And then the next day, Epic decides they want to upload their raw version of that piece, which was 14 minutes long. Now, look, I'm man enough to admit sometimes I do false starts. I throw a couple of ums in there. I do kind of slow down a little bit. That's honestly because of the time that I'm doing the show. If you notice right now, usually if you're listening to the first 30, 45 minutes to an hour of the show, the energy is there. But sadly, as it progresses, I'm starting to slow down a little bit. That's not by design. That's because I'm tired and I should like already be in bed or whatever. So the way I edited the clip for the RCWR channel was to try to save them as much as possible on that particular segment of the show, me dragging. All right. So 11 minutes, that's pretty good. But then less than 24 hours later, Epic uploads the same damn clip and it's 14 plus minutes long and it's dragging. And I vented. I said, hey, I said, blah, 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 blah. I said what I needed to say. Epic still has not communicated with me. And look, I don't think it's a wrong thing to say, hey, can you get in contact with me? Because after all, I mean, let's really break this down. I'm not seeing any money from Epic Sports whatsoever. I say to Epic, hey, can you upload my clips on your channel? Yeah, sure. No problem. Not once in the year and a half have I worked with Epic Sports have I ever asked for a cut of the revenue that's coming as a result of my clips playing on that respected channel. As far as I'm concerned, I go, hey, my reward, possibly tapping into a new audience, possibly tapping into that new audience that could eventually become listeners. And I'm pretty much rewarded that way, right? But I don't think in anybody in my position, I mean, maybe there's something I'm missing. I don't think it's so wrong if you have a problem with maybe a person in the comment section, or you just have a question or comment in general, and you reach out to somebody and you say, hey, hit me back. I want to talk. And they don't hit you up. I think just out of common courtesy, that's the least thing you can do for somebody, because after all, you are making money off of their content. So as it stands for July 31st, 2018, I'm pulling the plug on Epic Sports. Epic Sports, because I know at the very least, you definitely do your part in listening to audio. So I know that you're definitely going to be hearing this right now. You are not given permission to upload any more of my show on your channel. If I see going forward from August 1st on that you are uploading my content, I will issue a copyright strike, and that will hurt you tremendously on the YouTube channel. You have forced my hand in this because you have not responded to any of my emails. Now, I don't like airing this out. I don't. I'm a very private person. When it comes to business, I like doing my stuff behind the scenes. But sadly, I have been forced to take this measure. And I don't like that because I don't like airing out dirty laundry. I'm a very private person. Longtime listeners of the show know this. They know this about me passionately. I stick to the news or whatever, and we have a good time, and that's pretty much it. But I'm one and done with this. Now, Epic, if you truly, any part of you that at one point valued our partnership over the year and a half, you'll do the right thing. You'll find some type of a way to get in contact with me. If you are sending stuff, brother, it ain't in my junk. It ain't in my spam. So I'm led to the impression either you accidentally marked my stuff as spam or junk and it's landing in there, and as a result, you ain't seeing what I'm talking about, or you're choosing to turn the other cheek. Either way, you don't have permission right now to upload my content. So I would encourage you, if you have Twitter, you got a reliable email that you check, get at me. I mean, I'm all over the place. It's not that hard to get in contact with a brother. I mean, ask the listeners. I mean, all the stuff I be plugging every single week, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. So I think when it's all said and done,
hopefully we can work something out. If not, as far as I'm concerned, that's going to put us, the RCWR Nation, in a position where we can go back to basics. Because longtime listeners remember, I used to stay pumping out clips on the channel every single week, new audio stuff, all of that. So once again, Epic Sports, as of 10:37 p.m. Eastern on July 31st, 2018, you do not have permission to upload any more of my content on your channel. If you do, I will be forced to issue you a copyright strike, which is very detrimental, especially if you get like 3 of those bad boys. Then your channel gets pulled. So you valued our partnership at any time. You need to break heaven and earth. And you need to come get at your boy and see if we can try to take care of my concerns that I'm having right now. Best of luck to you. So other than that, now that we got that out the way, let's go into some news. I appreciate you guys' patience with regards to that, but that was pretty important stuff. I wanted to get that out there in the forefront. So this past weekend, and I like what Austie is saying in the chat here. Actually, no, I won't say I like what Austie is saying in the chat. That's the wrong choice of words. But to the point that Austie made in the chat, I agree tremendously. Sunday was truly a horrible day for wrestling, and it was a horrible day for its fans. I think where we should start, of course, and we'll kind of work our way down. I mean, all of these losses are very significant, but let's go in with the one that's the most eye-opening, which is Brian Christopher Lawler, the son of WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler, who had shockingly passed away and apparently it looks as though this was a result of suicide. This was just so heartbreaking to see and hear, okay? Because see from the standpoint of how everyone was reacting to this news when it had came about. And for me personally, I was in front of the computer and I was minding my own damn business. I wasn't even looking for any news, nothing like that. If you follow me on social media, I'm the type of person, once all the wrestling content is out of the way, I've pretty much done the show. I usually like to decompress and I think about stuff that's not wrestling related. That's just how I basically am able to reset. So I'm kicking back and I actually was getting ready to record some bonus audio content for our Patreon subscribers. And the next thing I know, I get a notification on my computer that said Brian Christopher Lawler passed away, suicide. And I'm going, wait, what? Like something doesn't sound right here. So I immediately go online and I'm looking at this information. I'm going, my God. I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I'm also saying, well, okay. And look, I give a lot of credit to Bill Apter. There was only one person I trusted when the news was fresh and when everything was just, what the hell? And we're trying to make sense out of everything that had went down. There was only one person that I had trusted to give me the correct information rather than speculation and copying, pasting, all that BS, because you had a lot of people that were putting their own little spin to reporting the news, putting in their opinions, their assumptions, rather than, okay, here's the proof. Here's the definitive proof. Everything traces back to this. Here's what this individual close to the situation had said. They went on record. They said, this is what happened. Hey, a family member said this. There was nothing like that that was going on from most of the sites that were reporting it. So when a guy like Bill Apter, who's seen it all, has experienced it all, has a lot of well-established contacts, when he broke the news and he revealed, okay, here's what went down. Okay, you can take that to the bank and you can cash that SOB because that is fact. That is truth. So for Bill to break the news, and you can tell it was a really rough one for him, but I would just imagine it was a rough one for everybody, especially for the Lawler family. Okay, so just to recap for you guys, earlier this month in July, Brian Lawler was arrested this month for a DUI and for evading police. Those were the charges that he was hit with. Now, you rewind it back just in 2018 alone, and I don't want people thinking, oh, we're just now jumping on the Brian Lawler bandwagon or anything like that. We were on this very same show a couple of months ago. Longtime listeners, or if you've at least been listening for about 3 months or more, we were on this same show a couple of months back, and we were talking about what had went down with Brian Lawler skipping out on a hotel bill. That hotel bill was about $900, and he skipped out on that bad boy, and he was arrested for that. And then you go to a couple of months before that second incident that had occurred. You got to go to right about, I would say, late January, February of 2018. He had got into a fight conveniently at a hotel with one half of the Naturals. You may remember that stable. They were in TNA briefly. Brian Lawler had got the living you know what kicked out of him, and he did not look good. He did not look good whatsoever. Totally unrecognizable. All right. So you combine all of those incidents that I mentioned in 2018, not really looking too good, right? And then you combine that with, over the years, the constant problems that he was having staying clean, trying to stay sober, and those weren't really working out well, sadly. Meth apparently was his favorite to go to, all right? So you just look at all of that stuff that's going on, and it just spells disaster. It spells trouble. Come back. Let's go forward a little bit more. Brian Lawler, this latest charge, the DUI, evading police. So he's in police custody. There was a bond, basically. He didn't have the money. I want to say it was like $40,000 bond or what have you. He didn't have that money. So he's sitting there in the jail. Police report, they're saying, hey, when we got him in, we took him in for processing, booking. He was acting fine. He did not give us any type of indication that he was suicidal. None of that. And so you pretty much go into the next day. They find this young man. I'm not going to get graphic as far as how he was found, but I'll let your imagination run wild as far as how he was found. But he was unresponsive. They immediately tried to perform CPR, all of that, and he was immediately taken to the hospital where doctors tried to do their very best for a couple of hours, but they pretty much had no choice but to call it. Jerry Lawler was there, and you just talk about rough. I mean, I just can't help but really feel for Jerry Lawler. I actually had the opportunity, and this isn't me boosting or bragging, so please, nobody take it the way I'm getting ready to spin it, because you don't even know the direction I'm going. So listen in its entirety first before commenting. Me and Tammy, we had the opportunity to meet Jerry Lawler. It's a funny story because we met him at Awesome Con, not this year, but last year. We met him in 2017. And it was so funny because I actually saw him first and he was walking around. And she goes, hey, look, it's Jerry Lawler. I go, oh, yeah, cool. Let's go say hello to him. I said, oh, guys, like, I don't want to come off like a geek. No. She's like, what? We're members of the press. What's wrong with going up there and saying hello to him? Come on. I'm like, nah, it's like, I don't want to do that because he's probably going to think we want an autograph or something like that. He looks like he's kind of busy anyway, because at that point we saw him talking on his cell phone. And before our Awesome Con coverage was over, Tammy was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did a photo op with Jerry? I said, yeah, I guess. Well, let's go see if we can do it. And we actually ended up talking to him for several minutes. Nice, warm, sweet guy. Really nice, warm, sweet guy. And, it was like, hey, he's all right. I wouldn't mind seeing him again, and talk to him a little bit more. I can only imagine what he's going through right now because he described it. I can't recall the shoot interview right now. I've only seen it a handful of times. I haven't watched it in a good minute, but there was a shoot interview that he did where he talked about his relationship with Brian, and he did admit that the relationship that he was having with Brian, it was strained, and that it had been strained for many years, and rightfully so, because he had divorced Brian's mom when Brian was a young kid. I can't remember the exact age, but definitely when Brian was the little boy. Jerry broke up with Brian's dad and pretty much really did not have anything to do with him. And so, yeah, you're going to have yourself a very strained relationship. And the Jerry also described the relationship as they had got older. It really did not feel like father son. It kind of felt as though the two of them, maybe it was a older brother to younger brother type of relationship. Maybe it was just two friends, almost kind of like it's just two fellow pro wrestlers. Oh, you're in the same industry as me. Okay, cool. But I would like to imagine that deep down inside, as Jerry got older, there was a big part of him that was very reflective on, man, just the way that did my son here. I should have done this relationship a lot better. I should have, I could have, and those are the memories, I think, in that point in time when that person is a young child and they are coming up. Those years are precious. I would say from the moment that that child is born all the way up until they are, I would say, 10 or 11. Those first 11 years, they are detrimental to a young child's mental development. Because if you have and look, I'm no Dr. Phil expert, but I tell you what, I know from personal experience, and I have friends and family members that know from personal experience as well. When you have a parent that's not really there in your life as a child, 9 times out of 10, that kid is going to start having some type of resentment towards that parent that had left them or whatnot. They're going to look at them in a certain light. And it's going to be extremely hard to make that child, as they come up and they become a teenager and then a young adult and then a seasoned adult, it's going to be very hard to have them waver from the old mentality that they used to have when they were a kid. Impressions mean everything. First impressions mean everything. And those first 11 years of child mental development are the most critical, because pretty much before that child is done being the age of 10 going on 11, their personality has already formed. It's pretty much developed. It's officially intact by like 13, but by 10, it's a general, it's pretty okay. This is how they're acting at 10. Okay, pretty much got this down. Have a good idea how they're going to be as a young adult. Okay, so for these two to continue to have the type of strained relationship that it had, it's unfortunate. And without a doubt, Jerry apparently had tried many times to get Brian to clean up his act. What parent wouldn't? Especially if you have the connections and you're basically saying to your kid, hey, if you can get yourself cleaned up, take care of yourself for a good minute, man, my connections, I can definitely hook you up. You don't need to worry about job security. You don't need to continue to go out here on the independents. I can set you up over here with my respected contacts. You'll be all right. You got nothing to worry about. Just trust me and just do what you got to do. I can't help you. You can only help yourself, right? And sadly, look at where Brian is now. And it's damn sad. It's damn sad. Of course, Brian Lawler working in the USWA with his dad in the 80s, really tearing it up on the independents. Honestly, we remember when he was with Too Cool. It's like that's one of the first things you think about is Too Cool. I also, another memory that I have, and I so agree with some of the people that were saying, hey man, Rikishi shouldn't have gone into the Hall of Fame. It should have been Too Cool, the trio itself, that should have gone into the Hall of Fame. And I definitely agree with you. And if there is a wrestling god, if there is a god in general, I hope that with Rikishi acting the way that he was acting at that Hall of Fame ceremony, pretty much acting as though I got to this dance, I didn't have any help. There were not any supporting actors that helped me along the way to get me to this point where I am right now. I'm telling you, that of all the Hall of Fame induction speeches, Rikishi's rubbed me the wrong way. It really, really did. And I just shook my head in disbelief. I know there was definitely a good amount of you guys that were going, wait a minute, he's not thinking like what? If there is a god, wrestling god, what have you, I hope that they are hitting Rikishi with guilt right now. I really hope that he's feeling it right now because, ooh, to know now, but if you only knew now, what what's the word? What's the phrase I'm looking for? What you know now, if only you knew back then. I'm sure that he probably would have handled things a lot differently. One of my favorite moments, though, with regards to Brian Christopher, honestly, and I'm sure it's probably on the tip of you guys' tongue as well. I particularly enjoyed it when he had came back. I want to say it was around maybe 2014, but don't quote me on that. When that feud was going on between Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole leading up to WrestleMania, there was actually a lot of people that were interested in seeing that match. But then when you see how it ended up, you're kind of going, you know. But I remember when Brian had popped up and to help further along the feud between Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole, Brian Lawler just, oh my God, you talk about shots fired on his dad. Ooh, you talk about a shoot. But then when you stop and you experience that shoot, I recommend to anybody that has not seen the Brian Lawler shoot on his dad on an infamous episode of Raw just a couple of weeks before Cole took on Lawler at WrestleMania, go look that up. That shoot was just damn, just recognizing how Jerry was a bad father, their strained relationship, all that. And sadly, that was the only time, at least on public TV, major public TV, that the Lawlers were in the same ring together. I mean, damn. I mean, how is one supposed to know? Hey, a couple of years from now, you don't know, but damn, to go, wow, that was like one of the last, at the time, cool moments. But now you're kind of going, damn. Wish I could kind of take that back a little bit. Sheesh. And yeah, Austin. Yeah, they had faced off. I don't know if they had took on the Ascension in NXT, Austin, but I do remember Too Cool had briefly reunited. And yeah, they were down in NXT helping out very, very, very briefly. But God, what a sad passing just to hear about. And look, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing that I really want to stress to you guys. And I've said this off and on over the years, and I really want my words to be heeded right now. If you out there, and I really hope this reaches somebody to the point that if you know somebody that is struggling with whether it's substance abuse or it's mental health, deteriorating mental health, and they have talked about committing suicide, I want for you to do your very best to encourage them to get some type of help, whether it is picking up the phone anytime, day or night, to personally give you a call or refer them to a 24/7 suicide prevention hotline. Do what you need to do to be there for that friend or family member in their time of need, and encourage them. Try to be proactive. I can tell you this, they don't want to feel like they're being bossed around. They don't want to feel like you're trying to force them to go a certain way. The best thing you can do for somebody that is struggling with mental health, mental illness, suffering from substance abuse, but they're talking about committing suicide, lend an ear, try to be as very supportive as humanly possible. really try to break to them the pros and the cons of what they're doing and the path that it can take them on if it continues. And sadly, you would think here in 2018 with Chester Bennington, with freaking David Carradine to a certain degree, Michael Hutchison, you would think that with Chris Cornell, Robin Williams, you would think that this would kind of be like a wake up call for some people that, okay, you know what, maybe I kind of need to get my act together. But it's sadly not. I think if anything, some people are looking at this and they're looking at it as maybe that extra motivation that they need to try to go a step further and finally ending it. They're missing so much on life when they decide, okay, you know what, life is not worth living for, right? And I get it. Everybody has their dark periods. Everybody does. I do myself. But let me tell you something, man. It is all about how you keep dusting yourself off. You get out there and you go through this thing called life. It is all about self-discovery. And I tell you what, man, if at the end of the day, you just find yourself or you know somebody that does not have any self-appreciation for themselves, take time out and tell them, hey, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if anybody said it to you today, but I care about you. I love you. For me, let's get you some help. And that's really all I can say with regards to that. But I really hope that my words, people that are suffering, I really hope that they hear this. I really do. So it's sad. It's really sad. It's really depressing. You're so used to hearing about people dying from cancer or dying from dementia or dying from leukemia or a car accident or things of that nature. But anytime you hear about a suicide, it's wow, this most powerful, cool thing called life that we're bestowed upon. Such a great gift, right? Because it all starts with typically two people that decide they want to bring a little person in this world. They want to nurture it and they want to give it the opportunities that they did not have as kids. And they want to see that child thrive and become a flourishing adult and be able to contribute to society. And so they decide, okay, let's go ahead, let's make life. And then for that life to reach a point in its respected life where it decides life is not worth living anymore. Now, Jerry Lawler is saying in a recent interview with a news affiliate outlet in Memphis that there, at least in his words, appears to be more that meets the eye with regards to Brian killing. I don't even want to say those words, but the whole suicide. So I wish there could have been a little bit more probing as far as, okay, Jerry, what exactly do you mean by that? What are you suspecting? Shed a little bit more light on it. And I know everything is still raw and emotional right now. I'm like this. I'm no legal expert or anything like this, but I do want to touch upon this and then we'll move it along. If I am Jerry Lawler, without a doubt, I'm probably hiring some lawyers. I would imagine you're letting the police do their respective things. But what I'm very curious about is when they were doing the processing for Brian, typically when you go in, and I researched all of this, so never been in trouble with the law, squeaky clean record. I could actually go into politics and I'd be all right. That's how squeaky clean my record is. But I did some research in preparation for talking about this tonight. And typically when you are booked and processed, one of the questions that they ask you is, does suicide run in your family? Do you have any suicidal tendencies? Have you recently been angry about something? They ask you these psychiatric questions. It's definitely on the release papers, and or they will ask you these questions face to face just to make sure everything is on point. And then they have a copy of that in your jacket. So I'm very curious what his responses to all of that was, if one was filled out. Because this almost reminds me of the young black woman, and I'll have to rely on you guys. I'll have to defer to you guys in the chat to jog my memory with the woman's name. But you guys remember the black woman that had made headlines about, I would say, almost 2 years ago, it feels like, where she had got arrested. She was in a jail and she was doing vlogs and everything. She was doing like inspirational stuff. Young black woman. She was probably in her late 30s, maybe early 40s, an attractive young woman. And one of the last phone calls that she had made, it was to a relative, and she said, "Hey, look, I'm in jail. Well, they had arrested me for blah, 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 but it's a load of bull. And sadly, I don't have the money to get myself released here. Could you try to generate the money for me?" And that was the last phone conversation that she had while she was alive with a family member. The family member said, "Okay, well, I hate to tell you this, but you're going to have to sit tight for now. We're definitely going to try to see what we can do to get the money together to bail you out, but just hang in there. You're going to be there for at least overnight, but I think I might be able to do something for you tomorrow." Thank you, Gino. Sandra Bland. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Sandra Bland. And you go into the next day and supposedly she committed suicide, and you're going, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? I'm bringing her up because there was a series on TV1, and sadly, I don't know the name of the series right now that was on TV1. It escapes my mind, but they had talked about the Sandra Bland case, and they talked about it from the family's perspective, and they had also talked about it from the sheriff's county's office that booked her and all that. They talked about it from their perspective, and then they had talked about it from a legal / attorney perspective. And basically, the paperwork for her booking and processing, originally, it did say, it was marked that suicide did run in her family, and or she did have suicidal tendencies. But then when you see another copy, like the copy that is officially in her jacket, you see that it looks as though somebody had tried to erase that. Maybe like they made a Xerox copy of the original, but they had erased, but they didn't necessarily do a hard erase. So it's kind of questionable. So if I'm Jerry Lawler and the attorneys and everything like that, if I'm the homicide detectives and all of that, I'm looking at that paperwork and I'm trying to establish whether or not those were indicated. And I tell you what, that could open up a big old can of worms, depending on who's investigating us. I would like to believe that with regards to that police department that was processing and booking Brian Lawler, that they aren't going to be in charge of that investigation, nor should they be. They need someone that is unbiased, has no connections, to come in and do their own official investigation, because now, I don't think it's a homicide. I definitely don't. And I'm not trying to imply it's a homicide, but you definitely need to have a team go in there to make sure that without a doubt there was any foul play involved. So that's one passing that had came about. Another passing that had came was Nikoli Volkoff. And, I didn't realize that he had been living out here in Maryland, apparently, for... Am I understanding that right? He apparently lived in the DMV. Maybe I have that wrong, because apparently they're saying where he died. But I know a lot of times he would come up here, whether he was doing stuff for Big Time Pro Wrestling or he would stop by Maryland Championship Pro Wrestling. There'd also be a couple of wrestling events he would do down in Virginia. He was always up around this area, though, typically wrestling some matches, doing a couple of autograph signings, things of that nature. Shaba, thank you, Shaba. That series I was talking about earlier, just to go back to it one more time, on TV1, it's called Two Sides. Shaba, thank you for that. I appreciate that. But yeah, Nikoli Volkoff, Koloff, I apologize. Nikoli Koloff passed away. It looks like it was just his time. No, I said it right the first time. I don't know, guys. I'm like fumbling with my words tonight. You guys got to forgive me. Nikoli Volkoff. Him passing away, you know, honestly, one of my first and only really big memories of Nikoli was when he had the tag team there with the Iron Sheik. And I vividly remember that only because that was right about the time that I was really starting to get into pro wrestling. And I was watching pro wrestling courtesy with my dad and also with my uncle. And we'd be kicking back typically Friday nights, going into the weekends, checking out all types of stuff, sometimes going to see a couple of shows and everything. And for me, one of my fondest memories was definitely him teaming up with the Iron Sheik and them winning the tag titles and everything. And I tell you what, what's really, really sad is when you look at the WrestleMania card and you just go, man, all of these people that have died. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys had really just taken a step back and you looked at the WrestleMania card. But when you just look at a big bulk of these names that's on here, you're going, God damn, there's really not that many people left, is there? Right? Listen to this. This was the WrestleMania 1 card, right? Take a step back with me into the time machine. We're going WrestleMania 1, March 31st, 1985. All right? Now listen to this. Tito Santana versus the Executioner. Executioner, no more. King Kong Bundy had defeated Special Delivery Jones. I actually remember that one. That was actually a pretty good matchup from what I recall. I actually remember that one. And sadly, SD Jones, Special Delivery Jones, no longer with us. All right? Continue on with the card. Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat, taking on Matt Bourne. Matt Bourne, no longer with us. Brutus, the Barber, Beefcake with Johnny Valent. Johnny Valent, no longer with us. Taking on David Sammartino with the late Bruno Sammartino. That ended in a double disqualification match. Junkyard Dog, the late Junkyard Dog, had took on Greg the Hammer Valentine. Iron Sheik, the late Freddie Blassie, they had defeated the U.S. Express, which had consisted of Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo. Well, at least we still got those guys. Andre the Giant, rest in peace, Andre the Giant, took on the late Big John Studd. Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper defeated Leilani Kai with the late Fabulous Moolah. And in your main event, Hulk Hogan and Mr. T with the late Jimmy Snuka defeated Paul Orndorff, the late Roddy Piper, and Bob Orton. So when you just go back to WrestleMania 1, and I know we're going to have some people that's going to be like, yeah, but Lee, WrestleMania 1, 1985, come on, man. You know they can't live forever. But that's still a very scary stat when you hear that now we're pretty much at that point where like about 90% of the people who have participated in the first WrestleMania are no longer with us. That's pretty damn sad and depressing as hell when you just really stop and think about it. I mean, and yes, Austin, very valid point. Damn, that Mania card is scary with all the exactly. It's very, very scary, but that's one of my favorite moments that I remember from Nikoli. Another moment that I definitely recall, it was the HBK JBL feud / program before HBK and JBL took their respected crack at it. And basically you had that period where the Iron Sheik, I'm sorry, not the Iron Sheik, where Nikoli was down on hard times. It was when he came back to the WWE late 90s, I think like 92 to 94, something like that, 91 to 94. And he was down on his luck, struggling to make ends meet. $1 Million Man gave him a proposition, and basically Nikoli was working for the $1 Million Corporation, and his name was Nickels and Dime Koloff. that was just badass. And I don't know why today I keep calling Nikoli Koloff. You guys got to forgive me on that. I've struggled with that for years, so don't take it personal, guys. I mean no disrespect, but Nikoli Volkoff, I got it right going forward. But for some reason over the years it was always Koloff. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why, but I always refer to him as Koloff, but it's freaking Volkoff, damn it. But that was the original, as far as, because you guys remember you had HBK Shawn Michaels. He was down on his luck. He needed some money. He ended up joining JBL and all that. Well, when you go back and you see the way it had went down with Volkoff and the $1 Million Man, you're going, wow, this is pretty badass, you know. So rest in peace to him. Now, as far as how he had passed away, I didn't really see anything put out there. I don't know if he was struggling with cancer or what. I mean, I'm just looking in the notes here, and the only thing I see is that he had died at his home on July 29th at the age of 70, days after being released from a hospital in Maryland where he had been treated for dehydration and other issues. And can I just give somebody a personal nod right now? I just want to give them props because honestly, I've liked what they did in this man's memory, and I don't really get to plug him that much as I used to in the past because it's actually been a good minute since I've seen some of his shoot videos from his company. But I want to give a nod to my man Rob Feinstein from RF Video. And I know in the times here on the show, I've had my fun picking on Rob and basically whoever he's interviewing. 1980 is when your mom and dad conceived you. I know I usually go at him like that, but no, I actually want to put him in a really good limelight right now because when news had broke out of his passing, one of the cool things that he did was he had released the absolutely final match that Nikoli had just right before his passing, and he actually had released it for free. Believe it or not, he had released it for free. And I'm trying to see if I can actually pull that up right now for you guys to check out. So please just bear with me a second here. I appreciate you guys' patience. So yes, here we go. It's in the RF Video Vault, and I'll actually share that, guys, with you all in the chat on YouTube. And for those of you that maybe want to see this on the downloads, I'll definitely share it with you guys. I'll tag it in the episode description. But yes, it was from Battleground Championship Wrestling on May the 5th, 2018 in PA. It was Jim Duggan and Volkoff taking on Nikki Benz and Mecca Mercenary. And again, you can check this out in its entirety for free as part of the RF Video Vault. You don't need a subscription or anything like that. It's free for you to watch. Last I had checked it out was yesterday. And when you look at the shape that Nikoli is in, you're going, wow, he held up pretty damn good for a 70-year-old. What the hell? I mean, when you look at his build, I mean, I'm looking at him right now as we speak. And actually, let me go ahead. Let me put this in the chat for you guys to check out. Because as soon as you see it, there you go. There you go, guys. Check that out. You guys are cruel, man. Nikoli was not 94. He was 70. He was born in 1947. What the hell you guys get 94 from? Ain't no way in hell a 94-year-old man is going to be given the green light to keep on wrestling at events, man. You guys sometimes, I think you guys be posting stuff in the chat just to try to give me the you guys, man. I love you guys though. Austin, you better change that. Oh god. I'll pick it on you, Austin. Nothing but love, man. Nothing but love, Austin. No, but he looked pretty good. I mean, he had the body of like someone in their 50s, I would say. Almost kind of to that point when the Hulkster had came back, but only the Hulkster was a little bit more ripper and everything. But I mean, for a 70-year-old, he held up pretty good. Isn't that sad when you kind of take a step back and you think about it a little bit more? You look at guys like Nikoli, you look at guys like Bruno Sammartino, and these guys, they never did really let up on their workout regimen. They always busted their ass, even if they were getting up there in age, and they did what it needed to do to stay in relatively good shape. And like it kind of just goes to show you, you can eat all the damn Cheerios you want, low cholesterol, low fat food. You can do all that all you want. You can stop smoking cigarettes. You can freaking cut back on the sweets. In your time of dying, when it comes, you know. I'm kind of reminded of the Led Zeppelin song. In my time of dying, I want nobody to moan. All I want for you to do is take my body home. How's the rest of that song, guys? I think it goes well, well, well. Or let me live well so I can die easy. Or something like that. Great song. Great freaking song, man. Great song. So that's another passing. I know I'm probably depressing the hell out of you guys. We got one more passing to talk about, and I can actually be brief with this one. And this isn't a I told you so. Please don't take it as a I told you so. Because that's not what this is about. I want to stress that. We were on this very show last week when we were talking about the reported passing of Brickhouse Brown. And shout out to Gino. Gino said, no, Lee, the guy is still alive. And before we went off the air, we were able to validate, yeah, he is still alive. Here's what had went down. But remember what I said on that very show. What did I say last week? Just 7 days ago. I said, when you are in hospice, sadly, it's the final countdown. Might not be that day, might not be tomorrow, might not be by the end of the week or next week, could maybe be in a month, less than 3 months, could be in 6 months, but you're on borrowed time. Once you're in hospice, that's it. There ain't no reverse. And I said to you guys, I said, you know, that's great that he got out of it, that he kicked out, but unless he's able to raise that money, get the surgery, I don't think he's going to be able to hang in there much longer. It's probably spread it to the point it's not operable. So Brickhouse Brown officially, you know, he did pass away. And, you know, that's pretty damn sad. I mean, now I think it's like 11, maybe 12 days ago since we had the initial report that had came about where his mom was sitting there and she watched her son die, and she's already waiting on the corner. She's, my God, what am I going to do? Now I got to make funeral arrangements. And she's just sitting there right next to the body, mourning the loss. Next thing you know, she hears, Mama, I'm hungry. And she's thinking maybe that's something that's in her head. And then she hears it again and she's acting all hysterical. And she sees her son is still alive, gets him a couple of chips of ice, had to cancel the corner as they're on their way and all that. I mean, that's insane when you hear that. You're going, wow. And he was actually asked about his out-of-body experience and all that. Was there a light at the end of the tunnel or anything like that? I would hope that you saw something other than darkness, you know. But so a very sad, a very depressing week. Now, what I want to ask you guys, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's try to liven up the mood just a little bit, because that was some heavy, depressing talk there of all of those deaths. Let me ask you guys, The WWE this week with Raw and SmackDown, did they acknowledge any of these passings? And if so, which ones did they acknowledge? I would like to know, because sadly, I did multitasking tonight, getting ready for the show. So I have SmackDown playing in the background, saw enough to comment on a couple of things of interest. Raw, pretty much watched most of Raw from what I can recall, multitasking again, but at least for SmackDown tonight, I don't recall seeing anything as far as in memory of. I could be wrong as far as if they aired something or not, but I didn't catch it if it did air. So I'd like for you guys to tell me if you had saw something for SmackDown or for Raw. But in the meantime, I do want to take this time out. Thank those of you that's checking out the show right now. Are you entertained? I do hope you are entertained. If you are entertained, smash the like button. I really, really love it when you smash the like button. Shout out to Courtney Summers. Courtney, how you doing, hon? Hey, how is the podcast? I got to start plugging the podcast, Courtney. So, Courtney, plug away. Plug away with the podcast, please, Courtney. Shout out to Courtney. Courtney said they showed a graphic for Brian and for Ivan. So I missed that. And Courtney and everybody else, was that also on SmackDown, or was it just for Raw, or they showed love for both shows this week? Let me know. And yeah, man, that's just, in all my years of living and being a pro wrestling fan, I've never seen anything like that in all my years. Like, I remember where I was when I heard about the news when Eddie Guerrero died. I remember vividly where I was when the night progressed, and by morning we found out what Chris Benoit had did to himself and his family. You just don't forget stuff like that. And sadly, I think for a lot of us fans of wrestling, this is something we're going to be remembering for years to come. Remember Sunday? Remember Sunday, July 29th, 2018? It was the blackest day for pro wrestling fans because 4 people had died. Now, if you noticed, I only mentioned 3. There is a 4th person. I don't know if you guys can really handle one more death, but I'll get into that a little bit later, okay? Courtney, let's see what you're saying here. Austin is saying Nikoli and Brian got the graphic at the start of Raw, okay? Courtney, there we go. Ooh, nice. All right, so you guys listen up. Courtney Summers podcast, Wrestling X Metal. Courtney, I'm assuming I pronounce X right, or do I just say Wrestling Metal? You gotta make sure you correct me if I'm messing that up there. But the Wrestling X Metal is dropping the week after All In. All right, so that's going to be the premiere date. That's awesome. Good, Courtney. I'm actually going to be checking that out. All right, I got it right. Wrestling X Metal. Yay, I like when I get it right the first time. Yay, me. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, Courtney, I saw you had got the tier package for the Starcade. That's pretty badass. I don't know if I'm going to drop all that money just yet, because, I mean, it is a great deal. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a great deal for those of you that aren't sure what I'm referencing. So for those of you that can't be at the actual All-In event, Fight TV is doing something pretty damn cool. Like, they're showing you all the shows that's going to be part of the Podcast One Row weekend for the All-In event. So there's like, my God, like, I forgot how many hours, but it's like over 100 hours of content that's going to be on Fight TV. And like, the retail value, the face value is like $350. They're actually going to hook you up at a discount for like $150. And if you order through Fight TV, you actually get a piece of wrestling history. You're actually going to be able to get a piece of the ring, I don't know, apron or whatnot from the All-In event. So you hear that, you're going, wow, that is pretty badass. Okay, cool. Now, one thing I do want to tell you guys, my sources are telling me, all right, now it's very rare I come at you guys with some breaking news, but my sources are telling me that for those that are not able to be at the all-in event, that there is something cool that's going to be announced in the coming weeks. That's all I'm going to say. But according to my sources, for those that cannot actually be at the all-in event, some type of a cool announcement is going to be made, and that's all I'm allowed to say at this point. I don't kiss and tell. Sorry, guys. I do not kiss and tell. I'm trying to debate on whether or not we should tackle this one other death before we finally really move along to nothing but really good, happy stuff. I'll be brief, okay? There was one more passing. I just needed a break from all that, okay? I needed a break from all that. But one more death I want to talk about. I definitely want to offer thoughts and prayers to everybody that had passed this past weekend. Nothing but love, thoughts and prayers and condolences. But another individual that had passed, this one ties into Matt and Jeff Hardy. I'm not really sure how many of you guys are aware of this individual, but you know about the Omega wrestling promotion, right? Okay, well, the founder of that one, Tracy Caddell, he's actually the father of Trevor Lee that's down there in Impact Wrestling. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, his dad is Tracy Caddell. He basically used to wrestle in the North Carolina independent scene for a lot of years, and he was actually one of the founding members of the Omega promotion, along with Matt, Jeff Hardy. And as you guys know, that pretty much had launched the careers of Matt and Jeff Hardy, also had launched the career of Hurricane Shane Helms. No other information is known right now as far as, okay, well, what the heck did he pass off? You know, what went down? But yeah, Matt and a couple other people on social media, they jumped out there, put out a statement and everything. So, you know, pretty sad. But Caddell, he was again the father of Impact Wrestling star Trevor Lee. Wrestled under several different gimmicks. He had TC Brimstone, TC Flexor, before stepping out of the ring. I want to say in the early 90s, like definitely before 95. And he would later be involved in the CWF Mid-Atlantic promotion. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a backdrop as far as him. So yeah, Shaba. Yeah. So that was your fourth death right there. Okay. So I'm getting depressed talking about all these deaths. So let's push it along. Let's talk about a little bit something happy. I just want to talk about some key points. I saw Raw. Honestly, I knew it was going to happen. And to wake up the next day and have the commute to work and see that everybody was having fun with the Brock Lesnar image of him backstage reading 2 different magazines for pretty much all 3 hours that we were checking in on him backstage, I knew that everybody was going to be having fun with that. And if you saw the tweet that I had put out, I basically had said, I'm going to be having a lot of fun messing around with this image. And when you guys see the image, look, credit where credit is due. There are some really good, funny images that's out there. But when I get ready to share my rendition of what I think Brock was reading, I think it's going to pick up some steam. Let me tell you, it's definitely going to have a lot of people laughing their asses off. So I can't wait to do it. It's actually going to be the front cover of the podcast for the downloads. Okay. But look, man, WWE, they finally, let's give credit where credit is due. Okay. Even though they kept beating us over the head with it, let's give credit where credit is due. WWE is finally starting to turn a corner with Roman Reigns. Let's be honest. And I don't want for people, I like how people are probably going to say, oh, the crowd was piped in. You can't really, nah. Fans were actually cheering almost unanimously for Roman Reigns there. You couldn't have booked that well enough as the way WWE had did it this week with Raw. To have Brock Lesnar reach the point where he is just disgusted with the WWE. Yeah, he doesn't care about the fans. You know, we know all this. We know all this from the Stone Cold podcast. But to really just keep hammering it home. And okay, well, fans still aren't quite budging. Well, what can we do now? Well, I tell you what. Maybe let's even have him put Paul Heyman in his place. And what an interesting stipulation that was for the whole 3 hours. And I like how that carrot was basically dangled over our head, right? Almost kind of like SARS, what Eric Bischoff had talked about on his DVD, if I remember those initials right. Or as I like to just look at it as, what's the carrot dangling over your head? What's the act one? What's the act two? What's going on with act three? How are we setting it up for the next week? That's always been my philosophy, right? So I like how Kurt Angle says to Paul Heyman, you got until the end of the night to produce Brock Lesnar in this ring. If you don't produce him, you're fired. You're going, okay, I don't really understand the logic of that, because honestly, it should be Brock Lesnar that should be in the ring, or maybe be stripped of the Universal title. But okay, whatever. I'll bite this, whatever. And we see Paul Heyman trying to do his very best to get Brock Lesnar to come on now, but he's not telling Brock off the break. He just keeps beating around the bush. And I love how everything pretty much culminated leading up to the final segment, where Heyman says to Brock, hey, this is what's going on. Please, I'm asking you as a friend, could you go out there and, could you help me out, just this time? And to see Brock Lesnar put Heyman in his place, no. I don't work for you. You work for me. Very physically aggressive, almost kind of crapping on Paul Heyman. You almost had sympathy towards Paul Heyman. And then to see Paul Heyman come out there, weaseling his way, trying to butter on up to Kurt Angle, Baron Corbin, not really working. Brock Lesnar coming out, F5 in the hell out of Kurt Angle. Love seeing Baron Corbin when it counted the most, when it was really time for him to flex his muscle and all that. He pulled a Homer Simpson, just kind of stepping back into the bushes there, just letting Brock have all that to himself. Loved all that. That was awesome. But then to see him get physical on Paul Heyman, I mean, it's a no-brainer when you really just stop and think about it. Is a situation going to occur now at SummerSlam where Paul Heyman could turn on Brock Lesnar? I mean, we have seen Paul Heyman turn on Brock Lesnar one other time in WWE history, and nobody saw that coming. And I tell you what, it was actually pretty damn good. And if you were a Brock Lesnar fan back then, it was actually pretty okay to hear Brock Lesnar talk more and more on the microphone back then. He seemed as though he was getting really comfortable with it. So to now go into SummerSlam and you're under the impression, hey, is it possible? Is it possible that Paul Heyman, I don't want to be talking about predictions right now, but I must admit that as we are now less than 3 weeks away from SummerSlam, WWE adding a new layer into the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar feud, I'm all fine for it. It gets a pass from me, meaning it gets a green light, because they are trying to freshen it up a little bit. And the fact that now just the mere idea that potentially not only could Heyman betray Brock, but potentially Heyman could offer his services to Roman Reigns. Just the idea, right? Even if that wasn't hinted that Roman could be partnered up with Heyman, just the fact that you can now kick back and actually say, well, damn, what if? And it kind of almost piggybacks on something that a lot of us have been saying off and on over the years, as far as, well, maybe Roman Reigns needs a mouthpiece. Maybe he kind of needs a little, CM Punk didn't need a mouthpiece in Paul Heyman, but look, they worked out so damn well together. Why not maybe a Paul Heyman? So I'm sold for the new layer that they did. And I just love how they just continue hammering it home that Brock Lesnar, worst champion ever. I love that WWE is basically caving in to what the fans have been saying. But we still don't really know what exactly is going on with this man's contract. We're under the impression it's going to expire shortly after SummerSlam. So you're going, okay, so, but then stranger things have happened. It's very well possible that Brock Lesnar could retain the title at SummerSlam and he could drop it the very next night on Monday Night Raw. He could drop it to Braun Strowman, and that could very well be the last time we see Brock Lesnar ever again. I mean, it is very well possible. It is very well possible that, just hypothetically speaking, it's very well possible that Roman Reigns could lose to Brock Lesnar. Barely does Brock Lesnar escape. And then you go to the very next night, Monday Night Raw, Brock Lesnar bouncing up and down in the ring as always. Next thing you know, Roman Reigns just comes out. Honestly, the way Roman has been built so far, Roman does not attack from behind. But I would just love to see a situation occur where, okay, Roman, you had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and you came up short. My question to you, Roman Reigns, when do you reach the breaking point? When do you just finally snap and you just really start laying in on the beast incarnate? And me personally, if I'm booking it the Monday after SummerSlam, I'm having Roman Reigns just freaking snap, just go into that bad boy, steel chair in hand or whatever, just belligerently beat the holy crap out of Brock Lesnar, leave him laid out, leave him bloodied. And then just soon as Roman is done, he goes backstage. Man, you can just take a commercial because it's so graphic. It's so, oh, I would love to hear Cole in the game. Just really hype the hell out of that. Just sell the hell out of that. And then you come back from commercial, still got a bloodied Brock Lesnar in there and everything. Cue up Braun Strowman, cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase. That's honestly how I would set it up. Honestly, stranger things have happened, but I like what I'm seeing right now. At first, I honestly did not give a hoot about Lesnar, Roman, this go round. But now when you add in the Paul Heyman factor, you're kind of going, okay, I'm intrigued. You have my curiosity. Let's see what's going to be happening. All right, let's see what's going to be happening. So you got that. Is there anything else I'm missing from Raw? I mean, probably the only other thing that really comes out in my mind right now, which was a negative. Did any of you, let's put it on you, did any of you care for the tag team segment between the Revival, Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, and who was the other team that was in there? I said Revival, I said Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt. Did anybody care in particular about that segment? I would like to believe that a majority probably did not care about that segment. I know me personally, I felt it went a little bit way too long, to the point I felt as if I needed to go take a piss break, honestly. And look, man, all of those guys, they are talented. They are talented, especially the Revival. They are talented, but man, I'm not trying to state something that is obvious. What I'm stating is a level of frustration, and my level of frustration right now is it's sad that Revival in particular, they aren't thriving on Raw, and it almost kind of goes back to what I had initially said with regards to the Revival potentially being called up on the main roster. I was on this very show months before they got the call up to Raw, and I said they would actually be better on SmackDown. They can breathe on SmackDown. They can get the creative touch and input that they need. And sadly, it's just not working for these guys. And what is really the most telling tale is it just goes to show you that just because you see a certain star in NXT, it doesn't always mean that they're going to be able to translate extremely well on the main roster. I mean, to date, the only people that have really excelled well from NXT to main roster call up, I definitely will give Sasha Banks her props. I would definitely give Charlotte her props. Becky Lynch started off a little bit hot, but then she got ice cold relatively quick. Paige for sure. Paige. I would definitely give her her props. Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's been able to maintain his momentum, and there's no telling what could culminate at SummerSlam. Kevin Owens for sure. He's thriving. So I mean, it's almost, I wouldn't say it's a hit and miss, but it definitely just goes to show you that you can't just call anybody up. I think you have to be a little bit more particular about who you call up to the main roster. And Shaba, I would agree. I would agree as far as Finn Balor to a degree. Yeah, I would agree with that assessment as well. I would definitely agree with that. But those tag teams that were in that ring, that talking segment, that was just a little bit way too long for me. I did stick around for the action, but for me, I'm just going, okay, so what? It's going to be a triple threat for the tag titles, for the Raw tag titles at SummerSlam? Is that what's being dangled over my head right now? Is that the carrot? Because honestly, I really could care less. Let me put it to you this way. Let me be real. I could care less about the feud, but I know they're going to have a good match. Right? I think most of us would agree with that, right? Like, careless about the feud, but they're going to have a good match. All right? Especially if they decide they want to go a little TLC, or maybe they want to do a ladders match for the tag titles. I think that would be pretty badass. I don't really think I'm missing anything else from Raw, though. I mean, those were really the main points that I came away with. Shout out to Miz and Mrs. Great show. Finally ended up watching the first episode over the weekend. Loved it. I see that they did really well as far as the numbers, one of the most successful WWE reality shows in the past 7 years. So, I mean, that's really good bragging rights, quite honestly. So shout out to Miz and Maurice for hitting it strong with a great debut. Also, switching gears just a little bit here. SmackDown. Let's talk SmackDown. So Charlotte had returned. It was great seeing her in action once again. She had a non-title matchup against Carmella, and interesting stipulations was at play. Basically, if Carmella lost to Charlotte tonight, then Charlotte would be added into the SmackDown Women's Championship match at SummerSlam. So instead of it being one-on-one, which would have been Becky Lynch taking on Carmella, that was locked. That was established officially as of last week. But with Charlotte Flair coming back, kind of feeling as though she got a little bit screwed and whatnot, never did really get her, I guess, fair shot, you could say, or whatnot. We have Paige, equal opportunities provider. Okay, we'll see how you do against Carmella. You win, you're in. You lose, you're out. So Charlotte wins that, and now it's going to be a triple threat match for the SmackDown Women's title. This is okay. I am actually very content with this because, honestly, number one, do I miss Charlotte? Lord knows I miss Charlotte. For me, my 2 cents from a distance, why WWE is not going with Charlotte more as the face of the company, I'm not really sure, because she is all around a great in-ring technician. Okay, she's made leaps and bounds of improving as an on-air personality. She carries herself very well. She's now radiating confidence, whereas before she lacked that confidence, right? Great smile, great for publicity. I mean, I can tell you firsthand, just from experience, when I had the opportunity to see her and Shinsuke Nakamura at AwesomeCon last year, my God, you know, the lines and just she's so personable, very personable. Oh, come on, don't be shy and get in here. Come on, let's do this picture. How you doing? I mean, she's very, very interactive and everything. So I mean, why you have an individual that is not being the go-to person more is beyond me. But I get it, man. You want to try a little something out. You want to try to see how some of these other up and coming talents are doing and everything. But I still feel in my heart of hearts that Charlotte Flair needs to be the centerpiece of all of that when it's all said and done. You need to have her be that heartbeat. You need to have her be that pulse and everything. So I am ecstatic that she was able to come back, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she had some type of a implant rupture or whatever, and she might have also been dealing with a slight minor injury, but I know there was a breast implant rupture that kind of sidelined her for a little bit. So it's great that she's back at it again. They need her. The women's division just in general needs her right now. And quite honestly, SummerSlam coming up, you need all the stars you can possibly get your hands on right now. You gotta sell SummerSlam when it's all said and done. And I see a decent amount of people in the chat are saying, yeah, there was a slight minor injury on top of the breast implant rupture. So love what went down with Miz and Daniel Bryan. I mean, it's a safe bet that we're going to be getting these two at SummerSlam. That should be a really good matchup. Although I wish that this would actually instead go down at WrestleMania, but maybe we might actually see these two lock it up again at WrestleMania. But for now, looks as though we're going to be getting them at WrestleMania. I'm down with that. Nothing really memorable, though, you could take away from their interactions. I mean, even though it wasn't face-to-face, it was a situation where Miz appeared via Titantron and everything. And I tell you, man, give me Miz and give me Daniel Bryan. Give me a DVD of all of their moments interacting with each other over the years. And you have yourself a textbook 101 on the proper way to build up a feud and have it finally explode in a match. I mean, this is really good textbook material. I'm really, really loving this. It's right up there with Jericho and HBK, Shawn Michaels. It is right up there with those guys. When you just really take a step back and you just look at the way things have been booked between these guys over the years. And I got to give the WWE writers a lot of credit for being able to go back and just string everything along together and really doing a good job in keeping up with consistency. This is probably, of all the matches / feuds I'm most eagerly anticipating, it is this one, because when you stop and you go back and you look at all of the matches that's going to be on the SummerSlam card, right? To a degree, I know we're going to have people divided, but if you really stop, take a step back, and you look at the Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns feud, this has been going on for a couple of years. So that's a rivalry, right? To the point, if the WWE Network were to ever do a new season of rivalry, you could definitely have Lesnar, Reigns. And just to hear both of them talk about, I think that would be really interesting, for real. That would be really interesting. No scripts, just let them talk about what was going on during those periods, what was going on in their heads and everything. That would be pretty badass. Get the reaction from the WWE locker room. That would be pretty badass, I feel. But when you look at the current SummerSlam card, you're going, okay, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, that's rivalry. Okay, now look at Miz, Daniel Bryan. Holy crap, that's rivalry. Okay, I can actually get behind that. And when you look at the rest of the SummerSlam card, you can even look at Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey. Okay, that's rivalry. We're probably going to see the implosion of Sasha Banks and Bayley. Okay, that's a rivalry right there, because they've been going at it back and forth. So it's really good how this SummerSlam card is starting to stack up a little bit. I mean, not all the matches have a really good, enriched history, that you can really sink into, sadly. It's just okay. These two people are going to be going. Okay, well, that should actually be okay. But I like some of these matches that's going to be happening at SummerSlam. I'm very curious to see how they are going to be playing out, man. Very curious to see how they're going to be playing out. So, over the weekend. Oh, by the way, for you guys, there was no AJ Styles tonight. AJ Styles will be back on SmackDown next week. He'll have his own retort to some of the things that Samoa Joe had said tonight. Samoa Joe just basically calling AJ Styles, you ain't really a good dad. You suck because you talking about, oh, you want to, you're a family man and nothing gives you more joy than seeing your family. It was like, man, dude, you're on the road the same amount of time as I am. You don't be talking about your family, man. You're more in love with being on the road. That's basically what Samoa Joe said in a nutshell. So, I mean, it was good. I mean, I get it. Give Samoa Joe his time in the sun. Let him milk it. Next week, we're going to see what AJ Styles has to say with that. But it was kind of weird not seeing him on there tonight. Oh, I almost forgot. We had the in-ring debut for SmackDown, if you will. Zelina Vega taking on Lana. Actually was pretty decent. I would have to say. Aiden English getting involved once again. There you go. There's another one. There's another. The seeds have been planted for a little bit, quite some time. There's almost like a rivalry right there. So I'm liking how this SummerSlam card is really looking. WWE's kind of going old school here. I like that. I really do. So sidetrack a little bit. Mention two things kind of non-wrestling related, and then we'll go into a little bit of other topics before we get ready to wrap it up. I'm looking at about probably, I would say we probably have about, when this show is over, it'll be creeping right at about the 2-hour mark. So we're doing okay. Like I said, if it's 90 minutes or creeping right at 2 hours, I'm fine with that. But the shows are going to be running a lot more tighter. I'm hoping that I will be getting the paperwork contract, if you will, to check out before this week is out. And once I sign it and I send it on back, hopefully next Tuesday, we'll be able to make the big announcement as far as who we have partnered up with. But you guys will definitely get a kick out of it, I feel. You guys will definitely enjoy it, without a doubt. So 2 non-topics I want to get into, non-wrestling topics I want to get into. Number one, I don't know how many of you guys follow me. How many of you guys follow me on Twitter or Facebook and all that? But I went to this record store in the DMV. It's called the Record Exchange. And if you're ever in the DMV in the Silver Spring, Maryland area in particular, it's downtown Silver Spring, check them out. I mean, they've got a really great store. I mean, they've got games, they've got CDs, they've got VHS. They've got Blu-ray, but it's their vinyl collection where they really thrive. All right. And man, I've really been getting back into vinyl a lot more. I've been starting up a really good vinyl collection past couple of months. So I went up there because I had to get a filling done at the dentist. And man, I had grabbed for a really damn good deal for $8. I was able to grab Steely Dan's Asia album. Not Asia, AJA. I was able to grab that. I also, that was just from, what else did I grab? So far, I've grabbed that. I grabbed Robert Plant's Pictures at 11, his debut album. I also had grabbed a Frank Sinatra album. Turned out that one was scratched up, so the missus actually had picked that one out. She didn't even know that it had that significant amount of scratches on it. Ended up recently getting the new Dave Matthews Band album. I'm hearing that album was actually pretty good. And before anybody judges, God, since high school, man, I own practically all of the Dave Matthews Band's albums. I got all of their stuff. There's probably only one album I came across I actually did not like. If you're curious which one is my absolute favorite, I would have to say Under the Table and Dreaming. That one was, it's a toss-up. I would have to say that one, and I would have to also say Stand Up, because Stand Up saw them go in a more jazz type of area. I personally felt. It felt a little bit more popish, but kind of jazz. jazz mixed in with R&B at the same times. It really seemed like they went in a completely different direction with the stand-up album. If you ask me what was my favorite live acoustic album, because I am a sucker for Dave Matthews live acoustic, I would have to say all-time favorite still to this day, and I'll play the hell out of it, Dave Matthews, Tim Reynolds, live at Luther College. 2-disc. Halloween, number 41. All-time favorite tracks from that one. Check that stuff out. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Got that. Waiting patiently to get the new Luke Cage season 2 soundtrack. Probably going to end up getting that from Mondo, because as it stands right now, nobody else really has that just yet. But if you're ever in the DMV, particularly the Silver Spring area, downtown, go check them out. The Record Exchange. Great place, man. Really great place. I was a little bit bummed out because I went to them and I was trying to find the newest John Coltrane album, the Lost Album. That's what it's called. And I'm going, damn, these guys don't have it, after they said that they were going to get it. And I was tremendously disappointed. I ended up actually going to Barnes & Noble, and anybody that has bought their fair share of music from Barnes & Noble will tell you Barnes & Noble is pretty damn steep when it comes to the prices. I mean, I ended up paying freaking $35 for my John Coltrane, and I know damn well I probably could have got it on Amazon for maybe about $10 less than that, but it's like, hey, you're paying for the convenience just for having it. So I kind of take a little bit of comfort with that. Yeah. And then another thing I want to go ahead and get into, Mondays are going to start being real difficult, guys. I got to be honest with you all. I'm probably not going to be as interactive on Monday nights for the next 10 weeks because my favorite show is coming back, Better Call Saul. And I patiently been waiting for this 4th season, and there's a lot of rumblings that Bryan Cranston could be bringing Eisenberg to Better Call Saul. It's either going to be Bryan Cranston, coming in, or it's going to be Aaron Paul. So I'm not sure which one it is, but they're being very tight-lipped right now as far as who it is that's going to be popping up this season. I would imagine it's going to be a little bit more towards the end. So it's my favorite time of the year, and I love talking about Better Call Saul. So you guys got to be patient with me for the next couple of weeks when I do get ready to take a pause during the show, start talking about Better Call Saul. Honestly, at this point, that's going to keep me preoccupied. I don't care about Fear the Walking Dead. Before anybody asks, never watched it. I don't give a hoot about it. I tried watching a couple episodes. Didn't do anything for me, quite honestly. Give me The Walking Dead. I'm good to go. That should be good as well. Can't wait to see how they're going to end Rick and his run on that show. Andrew Lincoln being the lead guy. I'm eagerly anticipating that. I think at this point, we got to wait until maybe October. October is when it's coming back. But Better Call Saul, I believe I saw a commercial for it tonight during SmackDown. I'm pretty confident I did. Better Call Saul is supposed to be back next Monday night. So I want to say it's going to come on at, if not 9 p.m. Eastern, it's going to come on at 10 p.m. Eastern. But it's definitely going to be coming on while Raw is on. So I know for sure 1 or 2 hours of Raw I'm going to be missing. And sadly, I'll have to go backtrack, check it out on the DVR afterwards so I can get ready to talk about it with you guys here. So let me look and see what other topics I can get into. Okay, so we're kind of doing a little good, Just looking at some other topics. Hey, real quick, Baron Corbin, you all right, son. You all right. I love what he did with Finn Balor on Monday night. I can't believe that I almost forgot about that. Baron Corbin leaps and bounds of tremendous improvement as an in-ring performer. I am loving it. I mean, this guy is freaking entertaining as hell. I mean, a great back and forth with Baron Corbin had with Finn Balor. I jumped out there. I put a tweet out there and I said, my God, this has to be the absolute best singles match that Baron Corbin has had, period, since he's been on the main roster, period. I thoroughly had enjoyed that, so much so I actually want to see these two guys just rip each other's heads apart at SummerSlam. I was that impressed with what I had saw from Baron Corbin this week. I mean, it is amazing. Now, look, if I have to throw a little bit of shade and I got to throw a joke in there, it's amazing what you can do in dress shoes, dress pants, and a dress shirt. It's amazing how well you can wrestle in an attire like that. I mean, seriously. But no, all joking aside, he did really great on Monday night. I definitely need to give him a lot of props. He did all right. I know he gets in the news for negative things because what he says to certain fans, how he's rubbing certain things in certain people's faces, all that stuff. But I thoroughly had enjoyed what he did on Monday night. That was his absolute best. And I know that the guy is still just scratching the surface, man. A lot of props. Hey, for those of you that's going to be in the New York area in the coming weeks, you know you can meet Paul Levesque, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon, right? Yeah, tickets are going to be going for sale on this upcoming event this Friday, August 3rd. Yeah, meet Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. It is a special meet and greet with the WWE Universe. Second year in a row now. Proceeds are going to be benefiting Connor's Cure. You'll be able to see them at the Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, on Friday, August 17th from 6:30. I'm assuming that's 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. local time. Tickets will go on sale August 3rd at Ticketmaster. Now, for those of you that want to know how much it's going to cost, pretty much the same as last year, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I remember $200 being the tag for last year. This year, they want $200. So that's pretty damn good. Nice meet and greet. If I had the extra money, I definitely would take advantage of this. So that's pretty damn awesome. Speaking of cool things, I think it's badass that WWE, I didn't get a chance to talk about this last week, but WWE have finally revealed what their collector's edition for 2K19 is going to be. WWE and 2K Sports, they released the news. So the collector's edition is going to be the Woo edition. It is the Ric Flair edition. And I looked at the contents. That is pretty badass. So it looks like you're going to get 2 super cards, one for Ric Flair, one for Charlotte. I would imagine insane stats. You got to hurry up and act on that because quantities are kind of like limited or whatever, right? Okay. So, and shout out to anybody that's going to be reviewing the contents of that Woo collection or the Ric Flair collection, basically. Make sure that when it comes to those super cards, the barcode ain't showing. We were going to give away the John Cena, Dave Bautista, and some other super cards from last year's 2K, but some a-hole had decided, oh, I'll just pause the video right here and I'll just take my phone. All right, I unlocked my content and ruined it for everybody. I can't tell you how pissed off I was that somebody had did that. So this go round, I am going to be a lot more strict and smarter when it comes to showing off all the contents. Where we messed up was that we recorded it, and sadly, sometimes when Tammy acts as my camera lady, she doesn't tell me about certain things that are showing, and she's still kind of hipping on, excuse me, kind of catching on to those whole QR codes, query codes, or whatever the hell they're called, the barcode. She's still kind of new to that. Once I had hipped her to it, she was like, oh, damn. Well, you know, if I'd have known that, I'd have definitely, you know, covered that up. I'd have told you to cover it up. So we're going to be a lot smarter this year when it comes to revealing the contents in there. But no, check this out. So you get the Ric Flair, the Charlotte Super Card. You also actually get a piece of Ric Flair's robe, one of his robes. I think they just took a robe and they just cut that son of a bitch up. Yeah. And you also get a autographed plaque with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Yeah, so it's like kind of like with the John Cena thing, right? Remember what came with the last 2K? You got the plaque with John Cena. I mean, do I need to show you? Let me show you guys, kind of refresh you all's memory a little bit, and it'll kind of give you a little bit of an idea. Now, sadly, the folks on the downloads, audio only, they're not actually going to be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm basically opening up the last 2K joint and trying to show the fans what they can basically expect here. And I haven't opened this up since the unveiling. Okay, so here you go, 2K18. Okay, all right, and I really got to hang this on the wall when I get a chance. All right, so let me just make sure that the vision isn't exactly all shiny and all that. Okay, there you go, guys. It's a little bit of a reflection there. All right, so you guys see there's John Cena there. It's the night that he had won the championship once again. And you can't see it, but there's an actual piece of the ring canvas that was from the 2017 WWE Royal Rumble event. Okay, so you're pretty much going to be getting something like this, and you can see the autograph. And if you guys remember, there was a video floating around of John Cena. He actually was seen autographing every single one of these pictures by hand before it was put in the plaque and everything. So you're pretty much going to be getting another one of these, only this go around, it's going to be the Nature Boy Ric Flair. There is also going to be a WWE Hall of Fame ring, a replica of Ric Flair's actual WWE Hall of Fame ring. I'm trying to think what else is in there. Of course, you're going to get exclusive downloadable content for Ric Flair. You're also going to get the access to Ronda Rousey. You're also going to get the access to Rey Mysterio. So a lot of great content that you're going to be getting in that collector's edition. Good luck trying to find that, because last I had saw, sadly, they were all overbooked. Nobody had any more available for pre-orders. So I know, kind of sucks, right? But hopefully you guys will be able to have another opportunity at that. I mean, Amazon might be your best bet, quite honestly. Let me see how we're doing on Showtime here. Okay, so we're almost about to hit the 2-hour mark. Let me just see here. I can actually get into that on a RCWR Show exclusive, and I can get into that on a RCWR Show exclusive as well. So we pretty much hit all the topics. Honestly, I just did not cover 2 topics, which played out pretty good because I actually wanted for those 2 to be YouTube exclusives. So, and I think you guys will really get a good kick out of that. So, I mean, other than that, all the stuff that we had talked about this week, it's really been a quiet week. I saw a question being asked about Matt Riddle. We actually talked about him last week, believe it or not. So, for some YouTube exclusives on the channel over at the RCWR Show, what I'm going to be talking about, and you guys will be seeing this, I would say probably by Thursday, I'm going to be talking about Hulk Hogan's apology to the WWE locker room now that a little bit more information has come about, particularly from Titus O'Neil, who shed a little bit more light on what exactly the Hulkster had said, how it made him feel. And sadly, we still have, and you'd be surprised, there's actually a decent amount of blacks that feel that Hulk Hogan is just, in his heart of hearts, a racist piece of you-know-what, and that there's no way that he's sincere with his apology. There's no way that he is a reformed man, that he's no longer racist. So that's actually going to be a youtube.com exclusive. So again, Thursday, that will be good to go. You guys will be able to check that out. Another YouTube RCWR exclusive, gonna be talking about, for you football fans, I know there's probably a good amount of you guys that probably want my thoughts on it, but I'm gonna be talking about Jerry Jones and him putting his foot down with regards to his Cowboys standing for the national anthem, and how nobody is allowed to be backstage while the national anthem is playing, as he expects for all players to be out on the field standing with their hand over their heart and pledging their allegiance to the flag. You thought I was about to say we the people. No, not going to be going there. And I'll also sound off on Jack Swagger, as he is gearing up for his MMA debut. Those pieces of content that I just talked about, those will be available on the YouTube channel. So youtube.com/the RCWR Show. So look out for that. That should be pretty awesome. Hey, can we give a shout out to our Patreon members? Really do appreciate them, because without their kind contributions, shows like what you're checking out right now, honestly, wouldn't be free. They help us keep the lights on, help pay for some of the show expense costs and all that, make a lot of things possible. Shout out to the lovely Courtney Summers, again, who has the Wrestling X Metal podcast. That's going to be launching the week after All In. I am eagerly anticipating that. And Courtney, I would love it. You let me know the time and the place, and I would have no problem being a guest on your show. Whatever I could do to help. I know I've been trying to help you out in the past on tips and advice, maybe as far as like equipment and all that good stuff. So would be more than happy to pop up on that show. Shout out to Courtney Summers. Shout out to my boy Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup. Shout out to John Davis, Michael Wolf, and Joe Raymond Jr. Got some good Patreon content that's up right now. There is a new edition of 30 with Lee. This go round, we are talking about from 1956, The Harder They Fall, starring Humphrey Bogart and Rod Steiger. Great classic movie. Check that out. You know, if you sign up for Patreon, there's a lot of cool bonus new audio and video content that you can check out, all for just $5 a month. I recommend you try it out. Worst case scenario, if at the end of the month you don't like it, send me a private message. Say, Lee, I'm feeling it, dog. Could I get a refund? And I'll definitely hook you up. No questions asked. But try it out. You ain't got nothing to lose. You got a lot to gain, honestly. So check that out when you guys get an opportunity. See, real quick, shout out to Shaba. You got me thinking of that damn rapper from back in the day, man, with that handle. Mr. Loverman, Shaba. Mr. Loverman, Shaba. Mr. Loverman, Shaba. Mr. Loverman, Shaba. Shaba Ranks. I think that's who it was. Shaba Ranks. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to Austin. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Catherine. Catherine, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this. My buddy Catherine, my God, I'm probably going to make her blush right now. We had Henry Cavill, Superman himself, come out here to DC recently for a Mission Impossible, kind of like a red carpet premiere, so to speak. And she actually was able to not only take a picture with Henry, a bomb-ass picture too. It was an awesome picture. I loved it. Not only was she able to take a picture with him, but she also was able to get his autograph on a Mission Impossible hat. I mean, you talk about badass. That is badass. I would be hanging that up on a wall. That would be my new damn avatar for Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all over the place. I'd be like, bump that. I'd be like, yeah, me and Henry, that's my boyfriend. If I had a picture like I did, well, I wouldn't. I'm saying if I was a female now, that's what I would. Yeah, me and Henry, we cool. We go way back or whatever like that. But that's just freaking badass. That's really cool, man. Shout out to Lee. Yeah, there's actually a guy in the chat room named Lee. His last name is Strack. Shaba. I like seeing Shaba. DJ Subia. Just say the word. Subia. Let's see. What else we got? Nasty Nate. Gino. Let me look at some of these questions in here. Nathan. Making sure there's no questions I'm missing here. I'm just going through the motions. I'm going through the motions because I'm looking for some lotion because I want to stimulate you with my magic potion. Let's see what else we got here. Speaking of the Ascension, there's a team I haven't seen in a couple of weeks. Thank God. Let's see what we got here. Looking through the rest here. Just make sure I'm not missing anything, guys, because if somebody had a question, I'll definitely want to make sure I address it. Ghost Noble. Shout out to Ghost Noble. Let's see what else here. Now, see, Mark, you got me thinking right now, man. Holy crap. Yeah. Not only Grandmaster Sexy, but you know what, man? Now I'm thinking about some damn Houdini. I think I might need to go back to the record store and see if I can get me some damn Houdini, man. All right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to shut this bad boy down because on that note, we definitely got us a show. It looks like at this point, it's going to be at about, I would say maybe 2 hours. So that's actually good. I'm happy with that. At least by the time I get done editing it for the downloads and everything. Your next edition of the RCWR show, unless I get some type of news, the news that I'm expecting, it's possible I may take a week off just to recharge my batteries and get ready for the new phase with the show going forward. But until I hear something different, you will be getting another edition of the RCWR show. That'll come you guys' way on Tuesday, August 7th. Be on the lookout for the exclusive audio, exclusive content of those topics I mentioned earlier. That will be up on the YouTube channel this Thursday. Be kind, rewind. Check out previous episodes of the RCWR show you may have missed on the downloads. We did release a Wrestling with the Topics last week that's now available on the downloads for you guys to go back and check out. For those of you that want some more great content to check out, me and the Mrs. Tammy going back and forth on a lot of good topics. So check that out. It's actually some really awesome good stuff. Keep smashing the like button. Support as always. Spread the word. That's the best you can do, man. You want to spread the love about the content. Like, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. All right. I am wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you next go round. And until then, please, may the good news be yours. A very good night. Good morning.